All right. All right. We are live. Okay. So today we are talking about how to get unfat. This is part two of the series. So today we are cooking. I'll be cooking some broccoli, some Brussels sprouts. This is cut into a fourth. Some sweet potato, some acorn squash, some onions, mushrooms. Okay, so today I'm going to tell you how to get unfat or how to get a healthy weight. Wait for some of you to come in the room. I am live on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, and there must be another one. And there's 4 YouTube channels that I'm live on, so check them out wherever you are. But I do want you to eventually go ahead and migrate over to YouTube and like and subscribe this video and share it out. It's going to help out a lot of people. So real quick, the simplest thing I can tell you is eat fruits and vegetables and you'll lose weight. It's very easy, very simple. With that information alone, you can, well, fruits, vegetables, and water. That information alone, you could click out and have all the information you need. But aside from that, the equation is that you have to burn more calories than you take in, and that's how you lose weight. Every time, there's no other equation. But there are far less calories in vegetables, and you can eat these raw. You know, for example, and it's good. We're going to cook some of these today. I mentioned we have sweet potato. And I didn't eat much today, so I might be eating a lot on screen, which I don't know if it's advice or not. But we have acorn squash. Mm. We have cherries, dark cherries. We have plums. We have what is this here? This is a melon. So the main thing you need to do is eat fruits and vegetables and drink water. And when you eat fruits, you want to eat the water-filled fruits. So like this cherry. Okay, here I am. So here are the things we're eating. Like I said, we have some sweet potatoes. We have Brussels sprouts, onions and mushrooms, and acorn squash. Let's go ahead and start the acorn squash. And while this is cooking, we'll go back and check out some of these articles. So let's see. We are going to use some olive oil and some water. So I'm filling up this cup of water right now. And let's see. Okay, get this started. I want to show you some of the. Seasonings that I have. How much water? That looks like plenty. I'm gonna use some black pepper, cayenne pepper, one of these paprikas, probably the smoked paprika, basil, and Mrs. Dash. I don't know exactly what's in there. I've read it before. Maybe some cumin and garlic pepper, garlic powder. Forgot to bring my garlic. Some turmeric, some chili powder. Might use chili powder, and definitely some oregano. So let's get started seasoning some of this. Use the fan. Yeah, this is black pepper. I like pepper on most all of my food. I like a lot of pepper. Even this isn't as much as I'd like, but I do like the one that's already ground up also, but I like to see how it originates in these little balls. I want to use a lot more pepper than that. Get a little cayenne pepper, or a lot of cayenne pepper. Some smoked paprika. It's going to be good. I could use some salt. We like pink Himalayan salt, but often I won't cook with salt, and you can still taste the flavors of all the vegetables and foods that you have in there. This is turmeric, a lot of turmeric. But it's hard to pour too much of any of these things. It's all vegetables. Garlic powder. A little chili powder. Cumin just to do it. Do like a little cumin. Some basil. What I'm going to end up doing is mixing the Brussels sprouts with this here, with the acorn squash. And this is what acorn squash starts off looking like. So I'm going to add the oregano a little later. Let's go ahead and put a lid on that. And I'll add more seasoning a little bit later. Mix it up. I don't want it to cook too fast. Guess we can go ahead and start this. Put water in it so that it can soften up these hard pieces so that it can absorb some of that water and get soft. I already have some oil. I like to use olive oil with everything. I don't use butter. That comes from a cow, basically cow's milk, spoiled cow's milk. So I don't use butter, and I don't use margarine. I remember years ago they said that it's just, is it one molecule away from plastic or something like that? Season this good. Go ahead and just a little black pepper. Okay. Now that I have that oil on my hands, it's a little hard to turn. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the oil gets off, or until I wash this oil and dry it some. And Mrs. Dash, I don't know if I added some to this one. I'm gonna have to clean this up here as I go. And I like that smoked paprika. Don't worry, this is going to turn out good. Looks like I'm pouring a whole lot of everything on it. And I am, but it's going to turn out good. Basil. I don't really like to cook the life out of the oregano, so I'm going to add that last. Even the basil, but already added that. Let's see. Let's do some cayenne pepper. I like everything spicy. And spicy foods are good for you. It helps with your blood flow. Again, a little bit of that turmeric. My hands unoily. Let's try this again. My hands might be dry enough. Not pouring fast enough for me. I really like to have the one that's already powdered, ground up and turned into powder. I like to cook all my food separately. So I'll even cook the onions and the mushrooms separately. So it's going to take a little while. I think that's a lot of water, but I'm going to eventually allow it to evaporate out, whatever's too much. All right, so let's get back over to our, mute this. Let's get back over to our articles. All right. So we still have that food cooking there. I am going to remove that from the screen, and we are going to start on some of these articles. First, I want to make sure that you understand. When you're eating the fruits, you want to choose fruits that are, choose any fruits, but choose a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. get the fruits that have a lot of water in it, water-filled fruits. You can see it has a lot of water in it. Or even like this plum. These are things that you can snack on all day. Excuse me. These are items that you can snack on all day. So let's start with the CDC. Like we mentioned before, let's get here. I'm going to share my screen. They started with the fireworks. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. It is hot out here. It's very hot out here. Okay, let's get down to the obesity. So for what they're calling Black Americans or the African Americans inside of America, I call us Americans, just regular Americans, because we're the original people and the first people, the only true Americans. So, but I'm going to go ahead and use the terms Black, just so that everybody understands what I'm saying. So for the Black American population, this is health of Black or African American non-Hispanic population. And this is from the CDC, cdc.gov. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Obesity. Obesity means fat. It's the same thing. It means that you have too much body fat. So let's see, the percentage of Black men or American men aged 20 and over with obesity is 38.7%, or you could round that up to 40%. So about 40% of Black American men are obese. For our women, 20 years and older, the rate of obesity is at 55.9%. So 60% of Black American women are obese or fat. 40% of Black American men are obese or fat. And this is from the CDC. But there are ways to solve this problem. And like I mentioned to you before, it's really simple. All you have to do is eat fruits and vegetables and eat less meat. So let me stop sharing this screen. And I just want to show you a few more. I want to show you a few more of these studies just so that you understand what I'm saying. So hold on. Let's get over to this one right here. So this one is called Eat More Plants, Fewer Animals. And this is from Harvard Health Publishing, Harvard Medical School, health.harvard.edu. And I'll put all these links in the description so that you can follow along, or so that if you're watching this later on after the live, you can follow along with us. 4th of July, a lot of fireworks. Okay. Let's start where it's highlighted. Science has shown us over and over again that the more meat we eat, the higher our risk of diabetes. I made it bigger so you can see it. Science has shown us over and over again that the more meat we eat, the higher our risk of diabetes, heart disease, and strokes. Conversely, the more fruits and vegetables we eat, the lower our risk of these diseases, and the lower our body mass index. Why is eating meat bad? High quality research shows that red meat, like beef, lamb, pork, and processed meats, bacon, sausage, deli meats, are metabolized to toxins that cause damage to our blood vessels and other organs. This toxic process has been linked to heart disease and diabetes. You want to know more? Read about these animal protein. These animal protein. Let's see. Want to know more? Read about how these animal proteins harm the body here and here. And if you go to this, if you open up this link, you'll be able to see what they're talking about. Continuing on to the next header. Should we all become vegetarians or vegan? Not necessarily. One can be 100% perfectly vegan. One could be 100% perfectly vegetarian or vegan and still have an unhealthy diet. Many foods that aren't made with animals are still unhealthy. Think candy, soda, and pasta, and baked goods made with refined sugar, with refined flour. Sugar-sweetened beverages and refined grains are also toxic to the body and associated with significant health risks. A better approach is a plant-based diet, and that's what I've been mentioning, a plant-based diet. I don't use the words vegan. I don't use the words vegetarian. I talk about fruits and vegetables. I want to continue on with this. A better approach is a plant-based diet. This means consuming mostly fruits and vegetables, including beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, and whole grains. A plant-based diet is well associated with a lower risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and death of many causes. Of any cause. Excuse me. A plant-based diet is well associated with a lower risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and death of any cause, from any cause. An estimated 90% of the population of the United States is omnivorous, and the vast majority of people aren't going to give up meat. The good news is they don't have to. A 2017 study published in JAMA showed that consuming just 3% less animal protein and replacing it with plant protein is associated with up to a 19% lower risk of death from any cause. Not only that, but a plant-based diet can protect us when we do occasionally eat meat. And so, yeah, I occasionally eat meat, but I eat so many fruits and vegetables that I circulate it out of my body very quickly. So I'm gonna read this again. Not only that, but a plant-based diet can protect us when we do occasionally eat meat. Fruits and vegetables contain special plant nutrients that neutralize toxins. These are antioxidants, and they are really good for us. But they cannot be isolated and packed into capsules or pills. Supplements don't work. A balanced diet that includes a wide variety of colorful fruits and vegetables is what works. Just eat more plants than anything else and minimize the meat, and you'll be doing your body a huge favor. Next header. Where do I get all my protein? Protein does not have to mean meat. As a matter of fact, many plant foods are excellent sources of protein. And no, it doesn't have to be tofu. Think beans, lentil, peas, and edamame. I think edamame is soybean, if I have that right. Nuts and nut butters, seeds and seed butters. Whole grains contain a fair amount of protein as well. Excuse me. Having trouble envisioning meals without meat? You can enjoy the same classic meals, just substitute in plant protein. For example, if you love tacos, replace the meat filling with spiced lentils. Try my easy tries my easy spiced lentil taco filled recipe below. Excuse me. I'm thinking about this food because I know I need to start checking on it and stirring it up. But let me continue this because we're almost done. If you like shepherd's pie, use refined diced mushrooms instead of ground meat. If you like fajitas, switch out the steak or chicken for portobello mushrooms. Excuse me. Classics like Mindstone soup, chili, spaghetti, and lasagna are easily converted into healthier animal-free meals. Use whole grain pasta where pasta is called for, and add extra veggies. Even if you prepare any of these dishes using animal protein, add extra veggies and you will be benefiting. Let's see. And then this is the end of the article. Okay, let's read this last paragraph. Going to a plant-based diet doesn't have to mean eating plants exclusively. Just aiming to eat more healthy, just aiming to eat more healthful plant foods, focusing on overall nutrition, decreases health risks significantly. Even a little even a little improvement can have big results. And that is the end of that particular article. And then they give you a little bit of information, some recipes. So let me see. I'll go ahead and copy this link. And I am going to add it to the chat so that you can have that and see that later. So let me go ahead. Let's see what's going on with this food. It looks like something needs to be checked on. Okay. I'll be right back. All right. So that's hot. Let's turn that down some. Take this off behind. All right. See what's going on. It's nice and hot. Cooking rather fast. Could have had that on a little bit low. But just going to move the stuff from the bottom onto the top, and the stuff from the top onto the bottom. Still going to turn out fine. Nothing's burning. It's a lot of water in here still. It's plenty enough. Put that a little slower. Calm that down. So. All right. See what's going on over here. Also move this. I'm usually a little neater, but I'm kind of reaching over to not get in the way of the camera. Right, this is still cooking kind of stuff. Okay. Some of the stuff at the bottom is a little move over here. Okay, some of the food at the bottom has gotten soft. Just scooting that onto the top. Eventually, all this is going to absorb the water, and all of the seasoning will be able to just get mixed in. Let's see. Since I don't use salt, I use a lot of everything else. Again, it's just diced up vegetables, so it's not going to kill them. Keep my area a little bit clean. Of course, I keep the top on it. Keep the top on to trap the heat so that everything cooks evenly. If I kept the top off, then the food on the surface wouldn't cook at the same rate as the food on the bottom. Well, it's not going to do that anyway, but it would cook even slower. I'm going to turn this down quite a bit. So, and if I do add salt, it's usually because somebody else is eating with me. A lot of people prefer salt, so I just use a pinch of whatever salt I have, and I try to use the pink Himalayan salt. So this is still hard. Right. Heat is turned down, and it is still boiling. Which means that eye is pretty hot. All right, let's get back to our articles. All right, so the next article that we are going to read, so I do want to make it clear, fruits and vegetables is what all you need to decrease your weight. Fruit, vegetables, and water, a lot of water. So let's go through these articles a little bit faster. All right. Let's go to the Mayo Clinic or the Mayo Clinic. All right. So this is a Mayo Clinic Q&A considering switching to a vegan diet. Excuse me. Okay. So here's the question. I am 58 and considering becoming a vegetarian. I know it will be important to make sure I get enough protein, but are there other nutrients I should focus on as well? Answer: following a vegetarian diet is a healthy way of eating. Multiple studies have linked vegetarian diets to a reduced incidence of chronic disease and cancer. Excluding meat or animal products makes a diet healthier, but there are other factors to consider. All which are diet, all which are, excuse me. As with all dietary patterns, it is important that not only it is important to not rely too heavily on processed foods, which can be high in calories, sugar, fat, and sodium. Excuse me, it is hot out here. Oh man, it is so hot out here. Gotta kind of get my hair out of the way so it's not making my neck so hot. All right. As with all dietary patterns, it is important not to rely too heavily on processed foods, which can be high in calories, sugar, fat, and sodium. Vegetarians have an advantage in that they usually eat more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains than other people who consume meat. The key to a healthy vegetarian diet, as well as all diets, is to include a variety of foods. No single food can provide all the nutrients your body needs. It is especially important for older adults to be aware of their nutritional needs, since aging can increase the risk of nutritional deficiencies. Talk with your doctor or a registered dietitian about developing a healthy vegetarian eating plant. Excuse me. Talk to Talk with your doctor or a registered dietitian about developing a healthy vegetarian eating plants that meets your needs. In general, though, pay attention to these nutrients: calcium and vitamin D, vitamin B12, protein, omega 3 fatty acids, iron and zinc, and iodide. Calcium and vitamin D. Calcium helps maintain strong bones and prevent fractures, which is especially important as you age. Milk and dairy foods are high in calcium. However, dark green vegetables are good plant sources when eaten in sufficient quantities. Calcium enriched and fortified products including juices and cereals are other options. Vitamin D also plays an important role in bone health, immune function, and in the reduction of inflammation. Vitamin D is added to milk, some brands of soy and rice milk, and some cereals. If you don't eat enough fortified foods and have limited sun exposure, you may need a vitamin D supplement derived from plants. Of note is that research studies suggest a high intake of vegetables and fruits is associated with increased bone material. No, excuse me, is of note is that research studies suggest a high intake of vegetables and fruits is associated with increased bone mineral density, which is probably due to mechanisms other than calcium and vitamin D. Let's see what's going on as we're talking. Let's see what's going on with this food. Yes, we are going to get back to that article. We need to check on this food. Fireworks. All right. Oh, okay. Thought that mic was muted. It is not. That's cooking a little faster than I want it to. But again, it has plenty of water, so we are good. Yeah. Nothing's too hard. And the thing about cooking these foods, like this yam, this sweet potato, and the acorn squash, is as you cook it, the sugar is more potent. It makes it sweeter. When you add just a pinch of salt, a lot of the flavors pop. But no salt, no salt. Salt is the reason a lot of people have high blood pressure, aside from just eating meat. Salt is the other reason why people have high blood pressure and have strokes. Have you ever seen a snail and you put salt on it, how it shrivels up? Salt shrivels up your blood vessels, your organs, pulls all that water out and sucks it up into the salt. Then you don't have available water. This is cooking kind of slow because there's so much. And I have it down low. But all that juice, see all the seasoning is in the juice. But here in a moment, the squash is going to be soft enough to where it turns into like a mushy texture and absorbs all that juice. So it looks like or actually a good portion of the seasoning did go into the juice, but it's fine. Another thing is, I like to season my food with the extra things like the onions and the mushrooms. It's a lot of pepper. Let's see. That's the base. There's a lot of cayenne pepper. That's what it is. But when everything's added together, it'll balance out. Still good. Mm. It's adding that base makes a difference. Hey, this is about done. Let it cook on the residual heat. Really done. All right. All right. We're gonna go ahead and start on the Brussels sprouts. And again, all these foods you can eat raw. Even if you eat a little bit of it raw, it's really good for you. You can eat all of it raw, but not everybody likes the taste. So this is the type of meal that you can cook for your whole family. People will appreciate it after 4 or 5 bites. They won't need the salt. They'll be able to taste all the flavors of the different vegetables. Like I said, I'm going to add this to this. I'm going to add the Brussels sprouts to our acorn squash. I am actually not keep that up. I'm not getting close to done. All right, let's get back over to our article. You know what? I'm not going to mute that. Let's go. All right. Let's see here. I think we left off on vitamin B12. So let's open that back up. Vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is necessary to produce red blood cells and prevent anemia. Dairy and eggs are good sources if you include these in your diet. Older adults tend to have more difficulty absorbing vitamin B12 from food and may want to consider fortified foods or vitamin supplements to make up for any deficiencies. This is especially true for those on a vegan diet, which excludes dairy products. Now, dairy products, like I mentioned to you before, dairy products is basically just spoiled milk or milk, and the milk is milk, blood, and pus from a cow. And we are not baby cows. We are not calves. Woo. We are not calves. That's why a lot of people are getting fat drinking this milk. See how big cows get. Their milk is made to make that baby cow turn into a big cow. These cherries are great. Let's continue. Protein. Protein helps maintain healthy skin, bones, muscles, and organs. Eggs and dairy products are good sources, and you don't need to eat large amounts to meet your protein needs. If you get sufficient protein, you can get sufficient protein from plant-based foods. For example, soy products, legumes, lentil, seeds, nuts, and whole grains. If you eat a variety throughout the day. It's like everything's going okay on that food, just looking back at it. Omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are important for heart health. Diets that don't include fish and eggs are generally low in active forms of omega-3 fatty acids. Cola Coca-Cola oil, soy oil, walnuts, ground flaxseed, and soybeans are good sources of plant-based forms of omega-3s called alpha uh, linolenic. Linolenic. I don't know what that is. Alpha linolenic acid. However, conversion of alpha linolenic acid to omega-3 types that are best for heart health is much less efficient. Now, excuse me if I butchered that word. Iron and zinc. Iron is a crucial component of red blood cells. Dried beans and peas, lentil enriched cereal, whole grain products, dark leafy greens, and dried fruit are good sources of iron because iron isn't as easily absorbed from plant sources. The recommended intake of iron for vegetarians is almost double that of non-vegetarians. To help your body absorb iron, eat foods rich in vitamin C. An example, strawberries, citrus fruits, and tomatoes at the same time as you are eating iron-containing foods. As with iron, zinc isn't easily absorbed from plant sources as it is from animal products. Cheese is a good option if you eat dairy. Plant sources of zinc include whole grain, soy products, legumes, nuts, and wheat germ. That was from the Mayo Clinic. I think our food's doing okay. I probably should turn this the acorn squash. Let's go ahead to the next. We're going to go to the next link that I have. Let's see. All right. I might need to get into the other room with all this noise. I don't know how well you can hear me. All right. Yeah, let's get to the next room. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you some of these articles so that you can look at them at your own leisure. This is from NIH.gov, National Institute of Health, turning discovery into health. Let's see. The header of this article is Fruit and Vegetable Consumption Reduce Risk of Death. This is a really good one. Look at this. It's very short. So let's see if we can read this real quick. Fruit and vegetable consumption reduce risk of death. At a glance, eating more fruits and vegetables, at least 5 servings per day, was associated with reduced mortality. The results support current dietary guidelines for fruits and vegetable consumption. Let's make this a little larger. It's well established that U.S. adults don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, and that this contributes to poor health outcomes. But data on how fruits and vegetable consumption affect mortality are limited and inconsistent. It isn't clear exactly how much produce we should be eating daily to sustain long-term health. A team led by Dr. Dong D. Wang, at Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard Medical School, examined the relationship between fruit and vegetable intake and mortality. The researchers gathered data from one study of more than 66,000 women from 1984 to 19. It's only going to get more frequent. Okay, let's just get through this one at least. Can y'all read this? Okay. The researchers gathered data from one study of more than 66,000 women from 1984 to 2014, and another of more than 42,000 men from 1986 to 2014. They included participants who were free of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer when the study began. Participants answered questions about their diets every 2 to 4 years. The team also conducted a the team also conducted a meta-analysis combining their data with the published results from 24 other studies. The work was the work was funded by NIH's National Cancer Institute, National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. Results appeared in circulation on March the 1st, 2021. As expected, mortality decreased as fruit and vegetable intake increased. Eating an average of 5 servings per day was associated with 13% lower risk of death than eating only 2 servings per day. Beyond 5 servings per day, eating more fruits and vegetables wasn't associated with further reduction in mortality risk. Fruit consumption and vegetable consumption showed similar relations to mortality. The lowest risk of mortality was reached at approximately 2 servings per day for fruits and 3 servings per day for vegetables. For comparison, U.S. adults, that is loud. For comparison, U.S. adults average 1 serving of fruit and 1.5 servings of vegetables per day. The meta-analysis of 26 studies, which included a total of more than 1.8 million participants, yielded similar results to that of the two studies. When the researchers examined individual causes of death, they found that eating more fruits and vegetables was associated with reduced mortality from cardiovascular and respiratory disease. Eating more fruit but not vegetables was associated with reduced cancer mortality. In contrast, mortality from neurodegenerative diseases was associated with fruit and vegetable consumption. That's interesting. Um, while these results held while these results held for most types of fruits and vegetables, there are certain exceptions. Consumption of starchy vegetables such as peas and corn was not associated with reduced mortality, nor was consumption of potatoes or fruit juices. This study was observational. The researchers examined the researchers examined the researchers examined associations between diet and mortality, although they accounted although they accounted for other factors related to health, such as age and physical activity. They did not control people's diet. Thus, the results can't prove that eating more fruits and vegetables reduce risk of death. However, they add evidence to support current recommendations for fruit and vegetable consumption. Uh, this amount likely offers the most benefits in turn. Excuse me. This amount likely offers the most benefit in terms of prevention of major chronic disease, and is a relatively achievable intake for the general public. Wong notes. All right, let's get away from these firecrackers. It smells good in here. All right. Still have this going. Our acorn squash. Let's see. It is loud out there. I don't know how the audio is turning out, but we're going to continue. All right, this is getting kind of soft. Most of this is getting filled up with water. Looking pretty good. See how this is doing. Good. Brussels sprouts. You can see the more you cook it, the darker the leaves turn because they're filling up with water. And eventually it's going to get soft enough for this to just go straight through it. Black pepper on everything. You have to eat an incredible amount of fruit and vegetables to gain weight. Not only that, but especially if you're a man, you have to eat the fruits and vegetables, and then you have to work out, or none of it will stick. You have to turn everything into muscle. But your blood is healthy, your organs are healthy. All you have to do is exercise. And again, remember from one of those articles we were reading, when you eat meat, it metabolizes into a toxin. And it's toxic to our blood vessels and all of our organs. Another one of those studies was saying that meat consumption is the biggest reason for strokes. You know, that and salt and processed foods. Yes, smoked paprika, a little bit of garlic, or a lot of garlic. Again, it really doesn't matter. Just whatever to your taste. No cumin in this one. Or not cumin. What's this? Turmeric. I don't know if I put Mrs. Dash in it. It's pretty. What's in this stuff? Dried onions, spices, black pepper, parsley, celery seeds, basil, bay. I don't know what bay is. oregano, mustard, thyme, savory, cumin, rosemary, cayenne pepper, coriander, dried garlic, dried carrots, dried orange peel, dried tomato, lemon juice powder, citric acid, oil of lemon. Okay. Okay. Let's turn this off. Well, that smells good too. Excuse me. A lot of pepper. All right. As soon as we get done with I'm gonna turn this up. As soon as we get done with this, I like this pot for my onions and my mushrooms. So let's see if we can go back outside and hopefully it's not. Hopefully they slowed down a little bit. So let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see. What have we not gone over yet? Let's go over this real quick. We did this on part 1. This is another Harvard article, and it's titled "Why People Become Overweight." It was published June 24, 2019. This guy getting his cake. Okay. I want to go ahead and go over this again because not everybody understands why they gain weight. And so Harvard sounds like a good source. All right. Everyone knows people can eat ice cream, cake. Everyone knows people who can eat ice cream, cake, and whatever else they want and still not gain weight. At the other extreme are people who seem to gain weight no matter how little they eat. Why? What are the causes of obesity? What allows one person to remain thin without effort but demands that another struggle to avoid gaining weight or regaining the pounds he or she lost previously? On a very simple level, your weight depends on the number of calories you consume and how many of those calories you store and how many you burn up. But each of these factors is influenced by a combination of genes and environment. From the first broadcast that I did titled "How to Get Unfat," or basically how to lose weight. On the first episode, or the first go at this, I explained that genes don't really play that big of a role. It's the equation is the equation. You eat fruits and vegetables. Very simple. You eat fruits and vegetables, and you'll lose weight. Fruit, vegetables, and water. You haven't seen me pull out any water yet. Very, very simple. I want to eat that. You burn more calories than you take in, you lose weight. Genetics, I'm going to go against this study and say genetics is not a big factor. It's a negligible factor. It's so minute that it's statistically insignificant. We're going to continue and read this a little bit. So, but each of these factors is influenced by a combination of genes and environment. Both can affect your physiology, such as how fast you burn calories, as well as your behavior, the types of foods you choose to eat, for instance. The interplay between all of these factors begin at the moment of your conception and continue throughout your life. Okay. The calorie equation. The balance of calories stored and burned depends on your genetic makeup, your level of activity, and your resting energy expenditure, the number of calories your body burns while at rest. If you constantly burn all of the calories that you consume in the course of a day, you will maintain your weight. If you consume more energy, calories, than you expend, you'll gain weight. Excess calories are stored throughout the body as fat. Your body stores this fat within specialized fat cells. Adipose tissue. I need to. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I should know actually. But anyway, excess calories are stored throughout the body as fat. Your body stores this fat within specialized cells, either by enlarging fat cells, which are always present in your body, or by creating more of them. If you decrease your food intake and consume fewer calories than you burn, or if you exercise more and burn up more calories, your body will reduce some of the fat stores. When this happens, fat cells shrink along with your waistline. And this is a little aside. It says, there's no such thing as a small stroke. Strokes are the 5th leading cause of death in the United States and a significant cause of disability. Learn from Harvard Medical School experts how to reduce your odds of having stroke, evidence-based steps that can lower your risk, how to recognize the early signs of a stroke, and what to do to get rapid brain-saving treatment. And that wasn't part of the article. It was just like an ad that they have inside of it. An ad for another article. All right, genetic influences. You can read this. Okay. To date, more than 400 different genes have been implemented in the causes of overweight or obesity, although only a handful appear to be major players. Genes contribute to the cause of obesity in many ways by affecting appetite, satiation, the sense of fullness, that's metabolism, food craving, body fat distribution, and the tendency to use eating as a way to cope with stress. The strength of genetic influences on weight disorders varies quite a bit from person to person. Research suggests that for some people, genes account for just 25% of predisposure to be overweight, while for others, the genetic influence is as high as 70 to 80%. That is bullshit. I'm going to keep reading. Having a rough idea of how large a role genes play in your weight may be helpful in terms of treating your weight problems. No, the equation is the equation. Eat fruits and vegetables, drink water, you'll lose weight. Burn more calories than you take in, you'll lose weight. But hey, I need to actually get back onto this food because it is smoking. So give me a moment. Smoking, smoking. All right. Are we cooking this too fast? We're cooking this very fast. How are we doing? Good enough? Nope, not done yet. Get that soft food from the bottom, move it to the top. Hard food from the top and move it to the bottom. But the fire is at the bottom, so that's what's going to be the fastest. All right. Oh, there. And that study that we were just reading, the Harvard. It wasn't a study. It was an article. The article that we were reading was saying later on in the article that a lot of people will gain weight during the holidays. And this is one of those holidays. People eat a whole lot of meat. They come to gatherings. There's big portions of food, and it's mostly meat and processed foods and pastas and stuff like that. Cheese, which is meat. Dairy, meat products is the same as meat. It's the same thing, and it has the same effect. And so that's when a lot of people gain. They can gain up to 15 pounds in a day, which is a whole lot. And most of it is just waste you're going to pass out of your body if you stop eating, and let it pass out of your body. Otherwise, it'll turn into fat. Another thing, you see how I'm cooking this, and there's all this water. You see all that water? You take ground beef and you put it in the pan, and you're like, what's some things that anything. If you're cooking up hamburger or cooking up like a sloppy Joe or whatever, you cook up the ground beef, you take the meat out, and then the juice, which is fat, the juice which is fat and other fat and blood is what it is from the meat. When you let it cool, first it's a juice while it's wet, while it's hot. I mean, it's a liquid, but as you let it cool, it turns into this hard solid, and it's hard to get out of the pan. It's the same way it turns into a solid once it cools on the eye. It's the same way it turns into a solid once it gets inside of your body. So if you can imagine how hard you spray that stuff with pressurized water, and it's hard to even penetrate. It's hard to even penetrate into that substance of fat and blood, whatever I forgot what you call it, but the fat and blood that turns into a solid. You can't even penetrate. It's hard to penetrate it with pressurized water. The same way, if it gets in your veins, it turns hard and solid in your veins, and then your blood, your heart, is what's the pressure pump that's way up here. It's in your chest cavity, and it's trying to push through all of that, what do you call it? Grease, they call it grease. All of that grease that's hardened in your veins, it can't push through. This is what causes high blood pressure, because it doesn't have the circulation. And so the pressure builds up, high blood pressure, veins start to pop or start to burst. start to rupture, blood starts to spill over in your organs and in your blood vessels and inside your body. And it's hard to heal once you ruptured an internal organ or your veins, which is an internal organ. It's hard to heal it. You can imagine, like, okay, a cut. If I cut myself, it'll heal relatively fast. But like if I bite my cheek or my tongue, it heals a lot slower because it's still wet. It's wet constantly. Imagine the internal organs that start to bleed because of all this blood pressure that builds up. It's hard to heal that. And the best way to solve the problem, obviously, the only way to solve the problem is to stop eating the meat, stop eating the salt, stop eating the sugar, and eat the vegetables and the fruits. And the fruits that the main fruits that you want are the water-filled fruits, the very watery fruits, and the dark fruits, and dark vegetables. When you eat vegetables, dark vegetables. These green foods thin your blood, and thin blood is easier to pass through clogged arteries and clogged veins, blood vessels. The thicker your blood, or the more food content inside your blood, which makes it thick, right? The harder it is for that that thick material. What's something thick? This is kind of thick, agave. This isn't very thick, but if you can imagine syrup, how viscous, if I'm using that word right, that material is. You don't want your blood to be that thick. You want it to be thin, especially if you're having issues with blood pressure. You're going to have to eat some green foods in order to thin your blood so that it can flow through and get through those tight spaces that have been created. Okay, so this is almost done. Let's see, but it is not done. I'm going to turn that back up. I'm going to add a little more seasoning because I like seasoning. I like black pepper, so that's what I'm adding. That is cooked. Let's move this out of the way. Move this off of the hot eye. Let it still use that residual heat. Soften up the rest of the way. Black pepper, black pepper. I don't know if this looks like a lot to you. It's not. It's not a lot. At least not to me. It's not a lot. And when you're not eating a lot of salt, sometimes you want these different seasonings to replace some of that flavoring that you don't have with the salt. I enjoy my cooking. Tell you that. Cayenne pepper, because I like pepper. Smoked paprika. Smells good. Yes, we are going to feast tonight. This isn't even very complicated. You see, just cook some sweet potato, some squash. Acorn squash is the sweet kind. Some Brussels sprouts. That that smoked paprika smells good. More Mrs. Dash. I didn't use the chili yet, so why not? My niece and my nephew always say, "Oh, it's so hot." It's not that hot. Just a little hot, a little spicy, but they eat it and enjoy it. Like it's spicy, but then they get second plates and eat all of their food, all of their vegetables. Okay, I do like my food a little spicy. That needs to cook some more, and let's see what here. We're going to mix everything inside of this big pan here. They're kind of hot. Flip this to the side. Or this is not a pan, this is a pot. Okay. I think quiet down back outside. So let's go back out and see if we can get through any more of these articles. I want to make sure that I share enough information so that you know for sure fruits and vegetables is the way to go. That's how you solve the problem. Fruits, vegetables, and water. Water. This well, I don't want to advertise for them, but this isn't the best water. It's not how you say. I don't think that it is alkaline. I don't know, but it's spring water. Excuse me. Let's go back outside. All right. Let's see. What haven't we shown yet? What haven't we shown yet? Not sure if we showed this yet. Okay, this again is from the CDC. Kind of want to take off my shirt, but not going to do that right now. All right. All right. So, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. This article is titled, is this an article or is it a study? This is a study. Okay. Mortality and mortality weekly report. Excuse me. Mortality and mortality. Morbidity and mortality weekly report. Adults meeting fruit and vegetable intake recommendations, United States. Summary: what is already known about this topic? The percentage of U.S. adults meeting fruit and vegetable intake required recommendations is low. The percentage of U.S. adults meeting fruit and vegetable intake recommendation is low. Excuse me, I am starting to sweat pretty a whole lot. All right. What is added by this report? In 2019, 12.3% and 10% of surveyed adults met fruit and vegetable intake recommendations, respectively. Meaning fruit intake recommendations was highest among Hispanic adults, 16.4%, and lowest among males, 10.1%. Meeting vegetable intake recommendations was highest among adults aged 51 or 51 or greater years old or so, aged greater than or equal to 51 years, 12.5%, and lowest among adults with low income, 6.8%. What are the implications for public health practice? States can use this information to tailor efforts. Uh, States can use this information to tailor efforts to populations at high risk, e.g., men, young adults, and adults with lower income, and to implement enhanced intervention policies and programs to help persons increase fruit and vegetable consumption to support immune function and prevent chronic diseases. I don't know if it's getting hotter and hotter, if it's because I'm eating that food, but I don't know. Oh, I need to turn on the battery, or I need to plug up this computer. Give me a minute. All right, we are steaming. Please, this food, and it is extremely hot outside. As soon as I get off live, I am taking my shirt off. Okay. All right, this is still pretty hot. Just a little bit. I don't need to cook anymore. That's fine. I'm gonna heat. Leave the pan. So I'm just gonna. No, I'm not. Throw this stuff on. That's good. Of course, I get full while cooking. Yeah, that's good. You know what? While we're waiting on this, go ahead and start some rinse this out a little bit. Not sure if there's enough room for my mushrooms. Let's see. Okay. No, it's in enough room. So let's empty this out into this pot right here. Let's do it without making a mess. I'm gonna rinse this out and use it for my, what am I gonna use it for? Either the mushrooms or the onion. Soon the rest of this food. Yeah, this looks good. But I can use some, yeah, say, oregano. Or basil. Plenty of pepper. Just a little turmeric. Paprika. I need some more seasoning. And garlic powder. This is going to end up turning out good. And then, of course, I'm adding more ingredients, so everything's going to be diluted. Mix this up some. Yeah, that's better. Better. Mm-hmm. Tastes good. It would taste better if the squash was right. Got that sweet taste of the squash. Still good though. And right here. Move this. Move this out of the way. Throw some oil. Plenty of oil. Mushrooms. Or new onions. All this stuff is edible, cooked or uncooked. You don't want to cook it too much, and cook the life right out of it. But this needs to be cooked enough to be for this to salt. Sometimes I like it a little crunchy. That way, at least I think I like it a little bit. Yep. Really crunchy. Mm. It's good. It's not absorbing all the seasoning yet, but it's soft enough to eat. I want it to absorb some flavor. But it's all good. It will absorb as it heats up. And for the onions, I need to keep my eyes on it because it cooks pretty quickly. Go ahead and take this off the eye. I'm gonna turn it back on so we can use that pan and use that to cook this broccoli. Or we're not going to use it to cook broccoli. We're going to use this to cook the mushrooms. See, there's a whole lot of mushrooms in here. I like the mushrooms to touch all of the surface. Like I like my onions to touch the surface. I don't like them stacked on top of each other. Just a pinch of salt. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. These onions is going to end up. These onions are going to end up seasoning the food quite a bit. Make sure the oil doesn't get all the way absorbed and the onions are just sticking to the bottom of the pan. I want every onion every bit of the onions to touch the bottom of that pan. We also have some whiting. You know what? Let's start that whiting out. By the time I get done with this, and then I'll go ahead and start this up. Rock. If there's enough room in this little pan, and there's not. Stay. The pan. Okay, I gotta wait for it. I like my onions crunchy too. Like all my food, all my vegetables with some of the water content still in the vegetable. What's going on here? The wrong doing. Has a front eye on instead of the back eye for this. So that smoked paprika. And this is dash. I'll save a little bit of that. Oh, I got just a little bit. Like that basil in there. But now when you every bite you eat has its own level of seasoning or quantities of seasoning. Every vegetable you eat has its own quantity of seasoning. And if I were going to add salt, I'd probably add it to the onions and the onions and this the mushroom. But it would just be just a little. Yeah. And you're also cooking the seasoning. Again, it's just diced up vegetables. And that basil is really good. They say oregano is really good for is it killing bacteria. I don't know if it's killing bacteria and viruses or something along those lines. A little bit. Add just a little more oil. Stop sizzling some. All right. Okay. I'm gonna say this is fine. Fine. Do wanna cook out some of this water. I'm gonna keep the top off so the water can evaporate, get the water a chance to go somewhere, up and out of the pan. Yeah, it's really not that much. The juice is good. That juice is real good. Right. Yes, yes, yes. Like good stuff. Of course, I'm using metal on this whatever type of covering that is. Kind of scrapes the bottom. Could be using a different, maybe like a plastic, on plastic, which is why I like stainless steel. It's good. I'm just going to turn up the heat kind of high. Not really looking to get the inside cooked, trying to sear the outside some, burn the outside a little bit, save the inside. So I'm not going to keep it on long, but I'm going to turn it up high or higher. Nice and crunchy. Mm. That's good. I can use something. Basil, like the taste of basil. Got other seasonings, I definitely just play around it with it, you know. So I like the taste. Regular paprika. I don't know what it is, but I like paprika. It's great. Hard to pour too much green stuff. Some of that absorb the juices. Plus the oil. The oil has its own flavor. And this stuff's gonna turn out good. Takes a while to cook, but it's worth it. Mm-hmm. A little lot. There we go. Good, right. Turn that orange. Colors. Make it colorful. It'll probably taste good. If it's too much of one thing, add some more of something else. Or even if you get too much seasoning in general, cook a little more of whatever the vegetable you're cooking. Okay. All right, I'm about to just add this in. Cook some of that new greens that I just threw on there. Um, basil and oregano. That gets some heat to it. That's done. Get close to finish pouring it. And get all that out. Use the scraping sound. Metal on metal sounds like that. All right. Use this one. Let's see how this is looking. It ends up being kind of like a stew or soup, vegetable soup. Mix everything on up in there. And of course, you're going to add whatever seasoning you choose. And then I like to, once it's all done cooking, I like to add, uh, oh, I like to add an avocado. Here's an avocado. Here's another one. I usually buy these small ones because they're cheap, but I prefer these big ones. Okay. That is good. Let's do this without spilling any of it. And when I add that mushroom, the mushroom gives it a really decent flavor. I remember from those articles, those things, often people who eat a lot of fruits and vegetables will use mushrooms in place of meat as a texture that people identify as similar to meat. I like to cook everything separately, then add it. But really, this is enough mixing stuff, but what? That's good. Here's my eating. That's barely anything in there. Not a lot, but top on it. But this right here is already good. As good as this oil. Have some more. I'm gonna need this eye. Pull this out. Yeah. Might be time consuming, but it's not difficult. Remember, like I said, when you add salt, it has adverse effects to your body. Like I said, if you put salt on a snail and you see how that shrivels up, same thing happens to our organs, our insides. Something similar. Salt is very addictive. Sugar is very addictive. One of the most addictive drugs is sugar. One of the most addictive substances is sugar. Add some more oil to this. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas of recipes, you can always add it in the chat. Or if you're not in the chat, you can add it in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, Twitch, or even Twitter. Okay. All that has some oil on it. All right. I know I put a whole lot of seasoning on everything, but I am going to continue. Using every food individually. And when I make my shake, I like to make ginger shakes, or excuse me, ginger, grind up ginger or blend ginger. Or it's just ginger and water and a little bit of agave, or just ginger and water. Kind of thing. What do I want to add to this? Go ahead and start now with the oregano. So start now with the basil. What do I want with that? Try some scarlet powder. And a little bit of this paprika. This one's smoked paprika. Keep this moving. Get everything on the bottom. Right now, I'm going to start cooking about the same length of time as I'm letting the mushrooms cook. I like when it turns a nice, vibrant color. Yeah, that doesn't taste like it has too much cayenne pepper. But my niece and my nephew might be eating this. So. I would even add some more mushrooms if that's what I was doing today. All right. So these are started. Okay, we don't have long before this is done. Good stuff. No, so. Just gonna set the fish right here. Using that. I like wine. And like I said, if I was going to put salt on anything, I would put it in this mushroom, the mushrooms and the onion, and the salt would get uh, dissolved into this juice, and then that would salt the whole pan. And then every time you eat a mushroom, you'll have a particular flavor. You'll and you'll definitely run into a mushroom with every bite, especially if I have more. Let's see. And oil has its own flavor. Olive oil. I don't need a whole bunch for this. Yeah. It's gonna get done before I even put the fish on. Get everything on here that I want on here. Oregano, put a little bit of garlic, put some black pepper. I think I want a little less of dash. What's left here. A whole lot of oil. Maybe I could pull back a little bit on the oil. These mushrooms, but it's not gonna kill me. Added a little bit of the seasoning from the mushroom to this broccoli. Seems like I need something else. I'm gonna put some basil. Actually, probably okay. Do I even like cumin? Maybe a little bit of turmeric. right, we got some more fish. This is whiting. Now, fish is meat. Some people say they're vegetarian, but they eat fish. Now, fish is a meat that is an animal. It was once living. Fish is harmful, just like all the other meats. So let's move this over. All right. Basil, or what's this, oregano? Get all the exposed skin so that there's not even an inch of unseasoned flesh. It is flesh. See. A little bit of cayenne. It's coming along. A little bit of cayenne. Didn't put basil on there yet. Little paprika. Let's turn this thing. Don't need to cook it slow because I don't need to. A little bit of smoked paprika. Going on here. All right. All right. We need something else. We need some garlic powder. At least we're going to use some. And a pinch of salt. Would taste good, but it'll taste good without it too. What else do I didn't look like pepperoni? Hmm. It should be, well, it's really done. Everything's done. I just want to put this fish in. Of course, I'm the fish eater when I eat fish. Let's see. All right. Okay. That's hot. Mushrooms are great. All right, we are almost finished with this. How long have we been on? For very long. All right, let's get this done. All right. Go ahead and finish this up. Got the mushrooms in there. Stir that up with the mushroom. Like I said, I would add more mushrooms. Add bulk more. This is a real quick, simple, maybe it's 2.5 hour simple dish. And there's plenty to go around. Just like a vegetable stew. See how this is going. That can cook more. We're going to go ahead and serve up this dish. Add an avocado to your own plate. Stir it in. Very good. All right. On the fire. Top on it. Bring up that water. Probably drink it. Still has fish. The oven hasn't even heated up all the way, but it'll cook well. One. All right. This has been a little longer than I expected. Almost done with this. Yes, plate going or bowl going. This knife, cut this right one. Okay, so two right. Cut. All right, I'm gonna add a little avocado to this. Now I'm just gonna mix that up, and that is the final ingredient. Refrigerate what's ever left over. One avocado, like two avocados, but I don't see my other avocado. Yeah, getting a spoon, a fork. Fish is still cooking. Mixing up. On the right with the avocado stick. Easier once you make. So I would have had two avocados in here. Avocado gives it its own taste. It makes it a little thicker, a little more filling. All right. Yep, this is good. And whenever I finish the fish, I add a little fish to mine, and that would be the meal. that meal will certainly fill your stomach. Yeah. Cook a little longer. Good. And then I like to, sometimes I'll add avocado to this. Drain the water. But this is water with nutrient. I drain the water and add a little avocado. Very good. And even I can add this to the pot if I chose to. And broccoli gives everything a nice flavor. That juice is good. See what's happening with this fish. It wants to stay on a little longer. But we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. All right. So that's steaming. I'm going to leave that on. And let's see. Where are we? Were there any more tabs that I wanted to show you? Any more articles? You know what? We didn't finish this one. The why do people gain weight? So let's do that real quickly. Let's see, where are we? I think I'm sharing the correct thing. I'm going to stop sharing that. Make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Looking for the Harvard study of why people gain weight. Here we go. So, the genes part, I'm just going to scroll through this briefly. I covered it in the last video. And it's just, most of it, I'd say it's not true, but okay. Let's see. Genes are probably a significant contributor to your obesity if you have most or all of the following characteristics. You have been overweight for most of your life. One or both of your parents or several other blood relatives are significantly overweight. If both of your parents have obesity, your likelihood of developing obesity is as high as 80%. I want to touch on those real quick. It's not a genetic factor. It just means that everybody in your family is eating the same stuff. Your parents, if they're obese, they're feeding you things that made them obese, and now that's why somebody would have an 80% chance of getting fat if their parents were fat, or if their parents were obese. You have an 80% chance that they're going to give you the same food that they're eating. It's not a genetic thing. Again, I'm going to continue reading. You can't. This is again talking about different characteristics. Genes are probably a significant contributor to your obesity if most or all of the following characteristics. If you have most or all the following characteristics. You can't lose weight even when you increase physical activity and stick to a low carb. Hold on, one moment. Let's go here and mute that. All right, I'm going to take that off the screen. I want to finish this up so that you do know at least you know what's being said, why people gain weight. Okay, if you have these characteristics as saying, then genes are probably a significant contributor to your obesity. You can't lose weight even when you increase your physical activity and stick to a low calorie diet for many months. This is an untrue statement. If you stick to a low calorie diet and you increase your physical activity, you will lose weight. You will lose weight. You'll lose the fat. So how can you say earlier they explained what the very simple equation is. You burn more calories than you take in, you'll lose weight. But then here they're talking about it. Well, if you burn more calories than you take in, then you might not lose weight, and that's why it's a genetic contributor. It's self-evident that that's not true. Genes are probably a lower contributor for you if you have most or all of the following characteristics. You are strongly influenced by the availability of food. You are moderately overweight, but you can lose weight when you follow a reasonable diet and exercise program. You regain lost weight during the holiday season after changing your eating or exercise habits, or at times when you experience psychological or social problems. These circumstances suggest that you have a genetic predisposition. These circumstances suggest that you have a genetic predisposition to be heavy, but it is not so great that you can't overcome it with some effort. At the other end of the spectrum, you can assume that your genetic predisposition to obesity is moderate if your weight is normal and doesn't increase even when you regularly indulge in high-calorie foods and rarely exercise. People with only a moderate genetic predisposition, people with only a moderate genetic predisposition to be overweight have a good chance of losing weight on their own by eating fewer calories and getting more vigorous exercise more often. That's for everybody. If you eat fewer calories and work out more, you'll lose weight. I don't know why they are misleading people in this way. These people are more likely to maintain this lower weight. What are thrifty genes? And from last broadcast, this was very interesting. Thrifty genes. When the prey escapes or the crops failed, did our ancestors survive? Those who could store body fat to live off during the lean times lived, and those who couldn't perished. This evolutionary adaptation explains why most modern humans, about 80% of us, carry so-called thrifty genes, which help us conserve energy and store fat. Today, of course, these thrifty genes are a curse rather than a blessing. Not only is food readily available to us nearly around the clock, we don't even have to hunt to harvest it. Now, people who lived in the Ice Age or during the Ice Age lived above a certain, is it longitude or latitude? People who lived over in Europe and certain parts of Asia, they experienced the Ice Age where there was very little vegetation and very few animals. And so, it would make sense that their body would store fat. It would make sense that over time that's what developed. But um, Asians in general are very small, and thin people. So I do see a case for this thrifty genes, or I can understand how that could be, but I see a lot of Europeans who just they jog and they're very thin. It's again, it's okay. We're about to get to this paragraph that is the reason they're mentioning all these thrifty genes or genes in general, and how you just can't lose weight because you're genetically predisposed to be fat. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. Okay, let me read this paragraph. In contrast, people with a strong genetic predisposition to obesity may not be able to lose weight with the usual forms of diet and exercise therapy. Even if they lose weight, they are less likely to maintain the weight loss. For people with a very strong genetic predisposition, sheer willpower is ineffective in countering their tendency to be overweight. Typically, these people can maintain weight loss only under doctor's guidance. They are also the most likely to require weight loss drugs or surgery. Nobody requires weight loss drugs or surgery. They require they require fruits and vegetables. They require fruits and vegetables and water. Is is a very very simple equation. Okay, I'm not going to read that paragraph. Environmental causes of obesity. I think that was kind of interesting. I'll let you look at that. Okay, let me read the second paragraph. Environmental influences come into play very early, even before you're born. Researchers sometimes call these in utero exposures fetal programming. Babies babies of mothers who smoked during pregnancy are more likely to become overweight than those whose mothers didn't smoke. Okay. Uh, the same is true for babies born to mothers who had diabetes. Researchers believe these conditions may somehow alter the baby's metabolism in ways that show up later in life. That's interesting. After birth, babies who are breastfed for more than 3 months are less likely to have obesity as adolescents compared to infants who are breastfed for less than 3 months. Childhood habits Childhood habits often stick with people for the rest of their lives. Kids who drink sugar, kids who drink sugary soda and eat high calories, processed foods develop a taste for these products and continue eating them as adults, which tends to promote weight gain. Likewise, kids who watch television and play video games instead of being active may be programming themselves for a sedentary future. Many many features of modern life promote weight gain. In short, today's obesogenic environment encourages us to eat more and exercise less. Okay, the food factor as one of the causes of obesity. I may be skipping a few sentences, but you can pause and read any of this. Okay, this was important. According to the According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), Americans are eating more calories on average than they did in the 1970s. Between 1971 and 2000, the average man added 168 calories to his daily fare, while the average woman added 300 35 calories a day. What's driving this trend? Experts say it's a combination of increased availability, bigger portions, and more high calorie foods. Practically everywhere we go, shopping centers, sports stadiums, movie theaters, food is readily food is readily available. You can buy snacks or meals at roadside rest stops, 24-hour convenience stores, even gyms and health clubs. One moment. Americans are spending far more on food eaten out of the home. In 2000, I mean, excuse me, in 1970, we spent 27% of our food budget on away from home food. By 2006, that percentage raised to 46%. In the 1950s, fast food restaurants offered one portion size. Today, portion sizes have ballooned, a trend that has spilled over into many other foods, from cookies and popcorn to sandwiches and steaks. A typical serving of French fries from McDonald's contains 3 times more calories than when the franchise began. A single supersized meal may contain 1,500 to 2,000 calories, all of the calories that most people need for an entire day. And research shows that people will often eat what's in front of them, even if they are already full. Not surprisingly, we're also eating more high calorie foods, especially salty snacks, soft drinks, and pizza, which are much more readily available than lower calorie choices like salads and whole fruits. Fat isn't Fat isn't necessarily the problem. In fact, research shows that the fat content in our diet has actually gone down since the 1980s. But many low-fat foods are high in calories because they contain large amounts of sugar to improve their taste and palatability. In fact, many low-fat foods are actually higher in calories than foods that are not low-fat. That's interesting. The exercise equation. The government's current recommendation for exercise calls for an hour of moderate to vigorous exercise a day, but fewer than 25% of Americans meet that goal. Our daily lives our daily lives don't offer many opportunities for activity. Children children don't exercise as much in school, often because of cutbacks in physical education classes. Many people drive to work and spend much of the day sitting at the computer terminal. Because we work long hours, we have trouble finding the time to go to the gym, play a sport, or exercise in other ways. Instead of walking to local shops or toting shopping bags, instead of walking to local shops or toting shopping bags, we drive to one-stop mega stores where we park close to the entrance, wheel our purchases in a shopping cart, and drive home. The widespread use of vacuum cleaners, dishwashers, leaf blowers, and a host of other appliances takes nearly all of the physical effort out of our daily chores and can contribute as one of the causes of obesity. The trouble with TV sedentary snacking. You can read that. It says if you watch TV, you're probably watching TV and eating high calorie foods, and that people watch TV for many hours. Stress and related issues, saying that some people get stressed and then they eat foods that they shouldn't. But you can read this as I scroll through. Wait, what's that about a biological clock? Okay. Okay, that looks like towards the end of that particular article. I think that article is relevant, and people should pay attention to that one. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you? I'll just go ahead and just pull this up just so that you see the last few articles that I had, just so you see them, and then we're going to go ahead and conclude. Okay, no, that's the wrong one. Not that one. I just want to see. There's one more article that I wanted to show you. Not that one. All right. Is it this one? It is this one. Okay. This is from. Nope, we read this one too. There was one that was going more in depth on one of the studies that they did. That basically just said, if you eat more fruits and vegetables, you'll live longer. More fruits and vegetables, less meat. Meat is toxic. It metabolizes. Your body metabolizes meat into a toxin. That toxin. That toxin again destroys the blood vessels. It destroys your other organs. So eat less meat. If you do eat meat, eat less meat. It's best if you don't eat meat at all. Fish is a meat. But if you do eat meat, just pay attention to the type of meat you're eating, because there are different, there's values, nutrient values of different meat. Some is more harmful than the other. So with that being said, fruits and vegetables. You can snack on cherries all day. You can fill yourself with a cherry, with cherries. You can fill yourself with cantaloupe. I'm not going to eat another piece yet. You can fill yourself with plums. You can eat blackberries, blueberries, and some foods you should eat raw. It's okay to eat raw foods. And if you eat mushrooms, okay. So that concludes our broadcast for today. I know some people don't like the term fat. That makes some people uncomfortable. But it's not that hard to lose weight. This is something that we're in together. The American people are my people. We're going to solve this problem together. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and conclude this broadcast. Thank you for joining me. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel so that we can bring this information to more people. All right. Thank you.